Hi everyone, it's Nicole, and today we are going to be talking about how to make your own enamel dots. Now, I'm going to, talk about a few different ways and a few different ways that I tried and totally hated, but, just to give you options. And look at all the enamel dots that I made. I want to talk about some different products that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using the Nuvo drops in different, there's crystal and jewel, and then we have some pearl pens or some paper pens from Viva. I don't even know if you can get those anymore, but they still work. I have some enamel accents by Ranger, and then some liquid pearls from, I don't know who this is from, Ranger again. And, some different Nuvo drops. Another way we're going to try is, with the Perler beads. I'm going to try it again with the Perler beads. And then I'm going to be trying with some resin, some clear resin. I got myself a little heat lamp, a UV LED nail lamp, just a small one so I can keep in my craft room. We're going to be mixing in some alcohol ink pearls in there and try to make our own. We're going to be trying to make some with some glue dots and then also with some paper. So we're going to have little sessions of making glue dots, and we're going to try all these different ways, and then we'll decide at the end which one we like the most. Now, I've had these forever and a day, and why, wasn't I using them? Well, my biggest thing is, I didn't want to put them on a craft mat, and I didn't want to buy like 15 craft mats in order to make some enamel dots. But by putting them on individual sheets like this, I think it's going to be a game changer, Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I make the backing for my enamel dots. I just took a sheet of printer paper, and most of them are 2 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then the last one is about 2 by 4 1/4, and that's fine. And then I don't know what I did with my carrier sheet, so all I'm doing is taking 2 sheets again of printer paper, and I'm kind of doing this, and then I'll put what I need to laminate in my mink. Now, a mink is basically a laminator. So if you have a laminator, you can do this. Now, these sheets I got on Amazon. I think there's like 100 sheets, and it's, to laminate. The sheets are, I think, like 8.5 by 11, a little bit more than 11.5. And that's what I use. Now what I do is I place them all at once. At first I was kind of doing it separately, and nobody's got time for that. So we got to find a way to make things a little faster. Now, this, I only have the 6-inch minks, so this is not going to fit as a whole. But what I do is I get them all in there, and then I cut it down the center this way. And then I put it through my laminator. So I just open it up like this and put them as close as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to make it so that it's laminated. And I thought, well, what if some people don't have like lamination machines? I ordered some Mylar, and I thought, you know what, if I can't use it for this, the Mylar, you can use it to cut out your own stencils. And I got the 3 mil Mylar, and it's too flimsy. Like it will not stay on it very well, and it would not, my thing is it won't peel very well. Now I did this at first and I put it with cardstock, which is perfect because, you know, it's nice and sturdy. But when it comes time to remove the enamel dots, you damage them because it's too stiff. So then I thought, well, I'll try it with just regular paper and see if that works. And I absolutely love it because it's sturdy enough that I can make my enamel dots, but then when it comes time to get them off, I can get them off nicely. Okay, so then I cut it right down the middle, just like this. See, when I was cutting them all separate, at the end there, it gets really messy because, you know, you just got two pieces that are wanting to slide because they're all separated. But because I cut it down the middle like this, then because it's, you know, kind of glued at the top, you know, the sheet is glued at the top, then it's easier to pick up and maneuver. So then I just put it through my Mink. Then each of these bottles, while it's doing that, each of these bottles, they have a name. So this is Bubblegum Blush. So then I take small labels here. I put the name of the color. Then, you know, you can sit there and make a whole bunch of these and just store them directly on those, or you can peel them off and then put them in little containers like this. The only thing is I find that they are sticking together, but as soon as you know, put your hand in there and just move them around, then they're okay. And then they're ready to go. You know what I mean? They're ready to go, but there'd be nothing wrong with keeping them directly on the sheet if you don't mind. You know, if you buy a 100 pack of those laminating sheets, then you can go to town. Like each sheet does 10, right? And what I like to do is I sit down and I have a session where I make these enamel dots, and I just make a whole bunch, like 15 of those. I'll do 15 at one time. And then I lay them all out on my desk and I let them dry overnight. Now, when I write this down, I write a label for this. So then when I look at this, I know exactly what color it is so that I can remake them. And then I also put a label on my little jars. And I'll link down below those little jars too on Amazon. They're perfect. You know, if I fill one of these up, I'll be happy. I just needed to find a way that I could make some enamel dots because I go through a lot of enamel dots. So I don't mind spending a bit of time making a whole bunch of these. Now, like I said, in this video, we're going to see different ways that, you know, you can make enamel dots. And then at the end, I'll tell you which one is my favorite way, or maybe my top two. We'll see. We'll see how I'm enjoying doing all these enamel dots. Okay. Now that this is done, all you have to do is cut these apart, and those little pieces are laminated. But once you have your dot on there, see how much more flexible it is? So you can actually like flex it and pop the dot off. But when I put my 100-pound cardstock on there, it's really hard to make it pop. Like it's almost impossible. So, you know, I was bending the cardstock and then wrecking the edges of the glue dot and all that good stuff, or all that bad stuff, I should say. Okay, so the first way we're going to make some enamel dots is using the Nuvo drops. Now they have different ones, like this is the jewel drop, the crystal drop. There is the newer ones that I've seen anyway. This is the vintage drops. They're more like a matte finish. So they have different finishes. Like there's the glitter drop and all this stuff. So the first thing I do is I make sure that I take the name on this and then put it on a piece that I just created. And then I also put it on one of those little jars. Now, because I've had these for so long, a lot of them are really clogged up. Okay, this one seems okay. Now, what I've been doing is always start off first off here and then go on to here. Now, I have to say, the first few that I did, they were pretty bad. They didn't look very good. But I think it's just a matter of practice. Now, you see how it's coming off like really gross? A lot of times, these bottles I've had for a long time. So what I'm doing, and this one doesn't have a little mark, is every time I do a new color, I literally pop this off, go to my sink, run some hot water in there, and then I have like a picky tool and I pick all the color out of here. Because I haven't used them in so long, even though it's coming out, I think it's still kind of, you know, having a hard time. So it's not coming out smoothly. So I just wanted to show you how, you know, how it looks now. Now I'm going to go wash this tip and then we'll do it again. Okay, so I've cleaned out that little tip perfectly. Now I have to say, this has worked for all the other ones, so it would be sad if it didn't work for this. But see, I want to show you the difference because I really think that having that old, there's a bit of water, so we got to get through the water part. But look at the difference, like that last one. It's coming out not in chunky bits like that. So I'm going to wipe it all off. And that's what I like about this too. You make a mistake, wipe it off and then start over again. There. Now, the best way to do these, I found, is you squeeze and then you lift. And depending on how much you put on that mat, you can make tiny enamel dots or you can make bigger enamel dots. I make sure to leave enough room in between each. But my biggest thing was I don't want to put these directly on my layout. I know, you know, people are going to say, well, why don't you just put it on your layout? Because I'm going to make a mess. I know I am. So this way, I can get them ready. They're going to dry overnight. See there, it kind of spit because it had air in it. So I can just wipe that off and then go back in. And oh, it spit again. Okay, wipe it off. Okay, I'll start it off on another container here. Another tip would be to keep these upside down when you store them so that the product is close to the tip and it's not gonna spit out at you. So then what I do is, at first I was kind of making, you know, different colors on one sheet because it looked like a real enamel dot sheet. And then I thought, well, then I don't know which color I'm making all of these. They're kind of random. And yes, it doesn't matter if I go to make a page. If I want purple and that's the purple that matches, I don't care what color it is. That wasn't my concern. It was more when I want to make more, if I know, okay, well, that row is done and I want to make more, I have no idea what who, you know, which color this was. So this is where putting the name of the color on the back has really helped. You can also like do the twirly thing as you dismount. If it's stuck on and you don't want like a high top. And then if there is some that are kind of high top, what you do is you take your sheet and you just flick on the back and it smooths out the enamel dots. Okay, so we did 2 rows. I'm gonna go get the sheets that I did on a previous day and show you quite a few samples of different enamel dots. What I really like is that you control the size of your enamel dot, and not every single one is going to be perfect. But with a bottle like that, can you imagine how many enamel dots I'll be able to get? Whew, I can't wait. So here I forgot to put the name of the color, but most of them are on there. So this one is called Rose Water, and it looks like drips, like it's translucent, like you can see through it. It's so pretty. And I did different sizes, and because this is way more flexible, as soon as I move it, the dot pops right off. So like I said, you can leave it on here and then just put it in your stash, or you can take them off and put them in the little containers, which I did do that for some of them. And I'm not sure which way, you know, I'm going to keep them. And I don't know if I'm going to keep them in a little container like this, or if I'm going to keep them on the sheet. At first I was like, oh my goodness, I don't want to make, you know, 100 of those sheets, but they really don't take long to do. And it just takes a piece of printer paper and one of those laminating sheets, which I have over 100. So, and I make 10 per sheet. So I think the way I would do it is kind of do it in batches. So I would sit there and maybe make 50 of those, maybe make 5 sheets, or maybe make 10 sheets. And then those are all done. And then you can label them all, and then you can make a whole bunch of dots. Now this one here, look, I have such a hard time having brown enamel dots. Now there's one on here, it's kind of standing, you know, like pokey. I just wouldn't use that one. It's not a big deal. But all the other ones, like, they're nice and flat, they're a nice size. I don't like mega dots, so those are a nice size. Like I said, sometimes some are going to mess up, because here I tried to put 2 of them a little too close together. But oh, these are so stinking cute. This is pink gumball, and they're almost like, I don't know, marbly looking, these ones. And this one here, again, I touched it, so made a mess, but that's okay. Bubblegum blush, that was this one here. Oh, and one thing I do, because I have so many of these bottles that I've bought, you know, over the years, and oh, not with this. With a Sharpie, I put a mark on there. I'll just leave it. But I put a mark on there, and then I know that I've washed the nozzle, so it should be good for a while. But I do that with a Marshy with a Sharpie, because then it won't wash off, and then I'll know, okay, yes, I cleaned this. Now it doesn't mean that I'll never have to clean it again, but I should be able to do a few sessions before I run out. So for now, I'm kind of doing 1 sheet at a time, but I'm going to sit down and that's what I'll do, is I'll probably make, you know, 5 or 6 sheets of those, and then I can go to town. Aha, this is the same color. So that's Sweet Lilac. You know, even little leftover little pieces of this. See, that's the difference. This was a sheet of paper, and this was cardstock. So this is going to be a little harder to get the stuff off. But I don't care if I wreck these, because if I don't use them again, I'm okay. And then look at the yellow and look at black. I love black. And I have such a hard time keeping black, you know, because I use it. It's not that I have a hard time keeping it around. It's because I use it. So then they're all gone. And these have the marbly effect on it too. And look at the blues. I have such a hard time getting navy blue. Now I have a whole sheet of them, and I'm going to make another one. And here I have two different shades of brown. So I'm going to be making a ton. Okay. This is not Midnight Sky. This is dark brown. And then, oh, the colors are going everywhere. I'm thinking this is berry red. Nope. Okay. We'll just put that one there. So it's just nice to have the color, because if I run out, then I know, okay, this is the color I need to do. Okay, so the next way we're going to try out is using these perler beads. I have made a ton in the past. The best way is to get yourself a craft mat like this, a heat resistant, and then you put the shiny side down, and then you put this on like a cookie sheet, and you line up all your perler beads. So it takes a while. You line up all your perler beads like this all along, and then you melt them in the oven. I think it's like 350 for, I don't know, 20 minutes. I'll let you know once I do some. And they come in a variety of sizes. So there's perler beads this size. There's perler beads this size. I really like the size of enamel dots it makes, but it is terrible to line them up. It's a lot of work. And then you have these pony beads. These make awesome enamel dots, except they're huge. That's my only complaint, because you know I don't like the big enamel dots. So but what I like to do with the perler beads, so I get different sizes, is I take my craft knife and I cut them in half. So I cook them. I cook some, the whole thing, and you get one size of perler bead, and then you cut some in half, and then you get a different size. So what I'm going to do, I have this package here, and I'll link all, you know, those I bought on Amazon, and I bought these on Amazon too. So I'll link those on my Amazon link. What I like about these is that there's some that, you know, black and white, pink and white, two different types of green, right there, purple and white, blue and white. So we'll do a whole bunch, and then I'll show you the results, because that I have to do in my kitchen. But I'm just going to line them up. Just make sure you have your fan on, open some windows, because it is quite stinky. So I'll be doing some of those, and then I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so this next session of making enamel dots, we are going to be using, where is it? We're going to be using some UV resin. Now, of course, I've tried it before, you know, I start filming, and I'm going to show you, but I have to say, I don't think it's my favorite. See, what I did was I bought 10 UV resin. They come 30 ml in a bottle, but I didn't want to do a whole bottle of a specific color if I didn't know if I was going to like this. So then I went and purchased these on Amazon. I'll link everything in the description box below if you know you want to give it a try. But I bought those little bottles. I think they fit like 10 mils. So then I thought, well, with one bottle, I can fill 3. And even though I do like it, 3 of those to make, you know, 1 of those to make enamel dots is going to make enamel dots for enough, you know, and if I want to buy more, I can buy more. But it came in a package of 10. Then I thought, okay, well, if I can use epoxy, maybe I can use glossy accent too to make some enamel dots. So I did try to make some with some enamel dots. Then, you know, stuff to mix in, I thought of alcohol inks and alcohol pearls. They have a shimmer to them. So I thought that would be great. Now, if we could get those metal balls that are in there and we could put it in those, and maybe if we could shake them, that would be a game changer. But I don't want to be here every time I want to, you know, do this. And yes, you can probably open this up, take the nib off, take a stir stick, stir it in, and then do a whole session with it. But I think if I were going to do this, I would just do it, make a whole bunch, and then move on. Basically, use the whole thing. This one I use glossy accent with black mica. This seems to be okay, you know. So we'll do a few dots with that. And then this one here, I did glossy accent with alcohol pearls. Okay, and this one here, you can put glitter in them. So if you have a bunch of glitter and you don't know what to do with them, these, basically we're making our own Nuvo drops. That's what we're doing. Now, the only thing with epoxy, you have to cure it. And that's why I bought this little lamp. I don't even know how to turn it on. So, oh, there we go. Okay, it's just a little button. I have a bigger version of this, but it's, you know, downstairs. So I wanted to have one for my craft room. Because even if I don't make enamel dots, I'm sure I'll use the UV resin for something else. So today we're going to use alcohol pearls, and we're going to try it both in glossy accent, and we're going to try it in the UV resin. So one of the things about the epoxy resin is that it's very stinky, and I'm sure it's toxic. So you need to use it in a well-ventilated area. Okay, so I'm just going to put, like I said, I'm just going to put a little bit. I'm going to mix it in one of those little pixie cups, because then I can nicely stir it. I'm going to go get a stir stick. Now, resin cures in light, right? That's why we have to do this. So, not saying you have to like rush, but you can't take too long either. So I'm just, oops, putting a few drops. You can't put too much, but you don't want too little. Okay. So what I like, it's strong. What I like about these alcohol pearls is that they have a nice sheen to them. So it'll make some really nice colored enamel dots for sure. I'm just showing you quite a few different ways, whether, you know, whether I like that way or not, because everybody's different. So everybody's going to have a different experience with it. And the same as, you know, with the Nuvo drops, when I first started putting them on the sheets, my Nuvo drops were, like the enamel dots, were all wonky, all different size. But then the more I started making them, you kind of get the hang of it, right? Like you kind of get the, okay, this is the pressure that I need to put on the bottle. And then, you know, I kind of did that twirly thing at the top. So that helped not having peaks at the top. And then when I switched from cardstock to make like kind of the backing to just plain paper, then it made taking the enamel dots off the sheet a whole lot easier. Now this is probably something that I was just thinking that I would do in the summertime. And then you can have all your windows open. Like right now, it's like minus like 25 outside Celsius. It's cold. So I don't want to open my window. I do have my fan on, but really it's recirculating the air to wet, right? So I won't be doing a whole bunch of these because, like I said, you need a ventilated area. I wouldn't put this on my nice mat here because I don't want to wreck it. Okay, so I'm gonna go chuck this out because if you change color, you kind of have to start with, you know, a new one. Okay, so I got some all over my hand. Okay. And that's what I like about the Nuvo drop. All this work is already done for you. Okay, I'm going to put the cover on. And then I'm going to try to get that epoxy to go at the bottom because I didn't make a lot, right? I only made a little bit because I'm not quite sold on it yet. I really am not. Now, the first time I did this, I didn't have my little UV lamp. I'm like, this thing isn't working. And then it hit me. Oh, duh. You have to cook it. Like, you have to cure it, not cook it. Cure it. Holy. Okay. Because this little cap comes with the thing that you have to break off before you can open it. And one of the things is giving me a hard time. Let me, right here, it's not breaking off. Okay there, Nelly. Oh, there we go. We don't even need that. So you can probably break that even before you put it on there. Okay, so it's going to the tip fairly easy, even though I don't have a lot in there. Like I said, it's not a complete nay for me yet. Not yet. It depends on how they cure. But I definitely, if I make a bottle of this, I'm filling up a sheet right away. I'm not leaving it in the bottle. So I don't know if I'll be able to clean these bottles after and maybe use it for another color, or to make some more of the same color. Okay, this you know, maybe I was judging a little too fast because I'm really digging this color. Ooh, is it ever nice? Now if I can get it to cure, oh, we're in business. And two, the last time I did this, I didn't have these little sheets where I could put this on. And you remember I said I did some with cardstock and I didn't like it for the Nuvo drop. Well, maybe with these, because you cure them, they're going to be a little bit sturdier of an enamel dot. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be a flimsy enamel dot. I have a air bubble there, and I want to get rid of that. There we go, and it filled right up. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to do little ones. There goes another air bubble. I'm just going to do little ones because I like different sizes, right? Oh, I see another one with an air bubble. It's not as if this will not cure. I mean, if I left it there overnight because of the light, because it reacts to light, if it was in direct sunlight, like, you could take this, put it outside on a really nice sunny day, and it would cure. It would take a long time, compared to that little machine, because that little machine, I'll put it under there for like a minute and they'll be cured. So I'm going to do this entire little bottle that I did. Okay, so epoxy has, I guess, a limit of how much stuff you can mix with it. I think it's 10%. So let's say if you did, if you did the whole 30 mil, well, you couldn't do more than 10% of that. And I didn't put very much in this. I probably put, I don't know, maybe 10 mil. So it's not as if I could put like 50 drops of the alcohol ink. I'm sure you could, you know, do the math and figure out exactly how much you're able to put, but I'm just going to add a little bit, and as soon as I have color, just be happy with that. Okay, and it's spreading out. So if I didn't want it to spread out this much, but it's making different sizes of enamel dots for sure, which is cool. So obviously I have to put a little bit less, just like that. Now I'm going to take out another sheet because I went ahead and I did a whole bunch of those. And you can see that in another part of the video here where I make those sheets. And then it's going to gives me a spot to do all these enamel dots. Okay. Now we're going to turn that on and we're going to leave it for a minute, and I'll come back when this is done. Okay, so I got 2 of these done. Now they still have to cure for, you know, like overnight or whatever, but they shouldn't spread anymore. Now, one thing I would say, see how these are perfect? It's because that's the last row I did. So this row had time to kind of spread out by the time I got to here. So what I would do is do a row, cure it for a minute, and then do another row and cure it. Or when you make your papers, just make it so it's the size of 1. And then, because look here, it really spread out. So I'm not upset with the results of this. Like when I caught on, took me a while, but when I caught on, then it was like, oh, okay, then I can make perfect little circles. Now, another thing is, you know, these are kept in black bottles, and that's because, like I told you, light, just regular sunlight, will make this harden. So I pretty much use that whole bottle. So by the end of this video, I'm going to try and, when I'm done with this, I'm going to go and try and wash this out and hopefully use it again. But like in this one, where I have some left over, and I didn't use it all, there is some left at the bottom. But you're saying, Nicole, this is a white bottle. See, this is too small. This is a clear bottle. So how come it didn't all harden? Because I put it in a dark drawer. Like you could put this in a little box and then put it in a dark drawer. Then it's like it's a dark bottle. Let me go try to find something that I can stir this. Okay, I'm just going to take the back of a paintbrush and I'll just wipe it. I got a baby wipe here. So I'm going to stir it. And I made this, I'd say, about 2 months ago. So I've been working on this video for a while here. Let's put that back in the bottle. Okay, I'm going to do this. clean it up. It's all good. Then we'll put this back on. Let's bring it to the tip here. Give it a second to go down to the tip. So like I said, if you're going to make some to make a head, and so that you don't have to do this and then use the whole bottle, and then you can use these bottles. And that's why I wanted to wait too, because I was like, oh, I don't want to tell them to get these bottles. And then the resin, you know, you use it once and then the resin is done. Now this is going to be a very, very light, it's almost like transparent. And then there's some yellow glitter in there. So I'm going to learn my lesson, and I'm just going to do a row, and I'm going to cure it. Now, one thing too, which we'll do right after this, is you can do these right on some glue dots, and then it's glue dot ready. My only thing, I love it that it's already glue dot ready, but my only thing is, where am I going to keep that? Those strips of glue dots. Now, if it came on sheets, fine, which I did find some on sheets. I'll show that to you when we get to that part. But even at that, like, it's a lot of storage. So I'm going to wipe the tip, and then, but I wanted to put that in that cupboard and see, you know, if we could do that and that it wouldn't get hurt. And they've been in my cupboard for 2 months. Now I did some with Glossy Accent, and I did the alcohol pearl with it. So we'll do some next. So I don't want to keep those out too long. So I'll put those back in that drawer, in that little box, and I'm going to close it. And then we'll let that cure. We're going to clean that needle because we might need that again. Now, I like Glossy Accent because it's not stinky and it's cheaper. Like, you can get a bottle of Glossy Accent for like $5. Like for those 10 bottles, so basically 300 ml, right? Because there's 30 ml per. I paid over $30. I think it was $33. So kind of expensive. This is 59 mils in one bottle, and I think it was like $6. Okay, and this is why I usually don't have the bottles next to me, because I want to put it in the bottle right away. This wasn't the first time. Let me put it that way. It wasn't the first time, and it probably won't be the last time. So you need a little Dixie cup. I'm just going to take the cover off because it's just faster. So Dixie cup, put an amount in. And for the epoxy, it's important not to go above 10%. And the Glossy Accent, I don't know. I just color it until I like the color. Now, what kind of medium could you put in there? I've tried glitter. I've tried mica powders, just plain mica, inks. What else? What else? I mean, just try different things. Look around your room and say, hey, that's cool. I wonder if that would work. And put it in. The alcohol pearls. But I have like mica powder. Ooh, flakes. You could do those flakes. Let me go get them. I'm going to link all of these things in the description box below under my Amazon link. So there's gold, there's copper, and there's silver. So, and then all you got to do is just make sure that you stir it well, get it all well and mixed in. Okay. And then you can, and of course, this is the bottle that I had already put. Is that the one? I don't know. I'm not going to chance it because, of course, I did the same thing when I did the epoxy. I went to put it in the little bottle first. No, put it in the pixie cup. Way more control with the mixing. And then I kind of crunch the edge of my cup here, and it makes a funnel. It's way more fluid than the epoxy, so it goes much faster. Okay. I'm just scraping everything because, hey, I don't want to waste any of this. But I still like the fact that I made those little white sheets and I can, you know, do my dots on those. I don't want to do them on, you know, make a media mat and then, no. Those little white sheets, you can decide whether or not you want to keep them on there, or if you want to, if you want to pop them off and put them on in those little jars, right? Okay, so we'll move that out of the way. So this is the glossy accent, and what I do is I have those little labels, and you know, if I wasn't going to use it all up in one day, then I would definitely label these like I did the ones that I put in my little cupboard. And then I know exactly, okay, this one was glossy accent with alcohol ink. And this, you're going to have to leave it and let it cure or dry overnight. So the same as the Nuvo drops. This, I mean, the Nuvo drops, they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. I've done, I don't know how many I've done with this on these white cardstock, but you're limited to the colors that they give you, that they sell, right? Okay, I'm having issues with bubbles here. So I'm just gonna, and I'll start off the same as the Nuvo drop. You should start off on the side. And the thing is, you know what? This is handmade, right? So you're going to muck up some of them. And you're just going to have to be, okay, that's okay. They're not all going to be perfect. And I'm just not going to use the ones that aren't perfect. End of that. But I'm going to have lots that are perfect, which is pretty cool. I don't know if another bubble here, more bubbles. I don't know if you can cure with the UV lamp the glossy accent. I've always just left it overnight, so I don't know. You know what? This is all about trying different things, right? So I'm gonna do this one. Oh, look how cute that is. It's just a little shimmer, but it's fine. So I'm gonna do a dot, and I'm gonna put it under that thing. And cure it and see how it goes. Doesn't work, it's not a big deal. That's the only way we're going to find different things, you know, different ways to do things. It's just by trial and error. So might waste a little bit of product, but you might find the next best woohoo thing, right? Aha moment by playing. Okay, I'm getting a lot of air bubbles. I think I'm just going to finish this row. And I'm going to throw a label on this that it's not epoxy, glossy accent, and pearl. And then same thing. Glossy accent doesn't have to be kept in the dark, but I might as well, right? Because the other one is. So I'm just going to put that in there. We'll put, and this I'll put to the side and let it cure. Those are cute. They're like translucent. Very pretty. Okay, FYI, glossy accent does not cure. There we go. Now we know. Now we're going to move on to the next thing. So, glue dots. We all have them, right? Now, I looked high and low for some on a sheet, and then that way we can, you know, kind of do our thing on the sheet, and then we can put it back, right? We can put it back and not have like a roll of stuff. So we're going to take these out. And if I was doing like a whole bunch, then I would just do, you know, a whole bunch of the same. But we want to do different samples. So I'm going to rip those apart. The only thing with glue dots too, I don't even know if you can tell. No. Let's try maybe a colored paper. But the glue dots are not perfect. The glue dots are all different sizes. I don't even know if that, but this one is almost like an oval. That one too. There's a few, you know, that are perfect, but most glue dots are not perfect. So, but for the sake of the demo, I don't want to do, you know, all however many's there, 12 of them. I don't want to do all 12. So we are going to cut these apart and we're going to do different things. We're going to try some with the epoxy. And I want to do some embossing powder because this is already sticky. So the way I'm thinking is if it's already sticky and I put heat to it, the only thing is I'm thinking, will it melt the dot? I don't know, but we're going to find out together. I'm going to keep my little sun lamp because the first one I'm going to do is the epoxy. And I think I've already put that away. So let's get it out. Epoxy, we'll do this one here, the epoxy and glitter. The only thing, it's pretty light. Do I have another epoxy one? I think I've used all the epoxy. Yeah, everything else is glossy accent. So we're going to do this pale yellow. It's okay. We just want to see if it works. Okay, so I'm going to stick some of those, or some of this, directly on the dot. And then if this works, I just made a mess. If this works, then your dot is already a sticker. Do you know what I mean? Like it's sticky. So you can just peel it off of here and put it on your page. I just think it's going to take a lot of room, but I thought it'd be fun to try it out. Okay, I'm making sure it's domed. I have my little lamp here. So we'll get that done. Now next, let's try some embossing powder. Let me get my little tray here. It's a little dirty, so let's clean it up as best we can. I don't know what I did in there. Okay, I guess it's as cleaned up as it's going to be. So let's put that directly in here. And let's do blue. This is Zing Embossing Powder. Metallic finished. Oh, cool. And it's blue. Okay. Let's see if it sticks to the sticky dot. I don't know. I didn't even do, trial with this. I just thought we'd try it together. We're going to see if it's a fail or if it's a yay. Okay, well, I'm going to put this back on and let it cure. Okay, so I don't like all this powder around, so I got that paintbrush that I used to stir a while ago. I might have to put a few coats of this. So I'm going to start warming up before I touch it. The dot. I'm not so sure this is going to work. It was worth a try. Okay, I better get some kind of little clippy things to hold on to, or a pair of scissors or something. But it's not embossing it. There we go. That took forever. Okay. Well, it worked. But like I said, the glue dots aren't perfect. But some other stuff isn't perfect either. So I thought, what if I need to add more? Well, then I can use some embossing ink. And then you can't even imagine how messy my desk is right now. I have been playing for the last few days, trying different things, and I did kind of clean up this morning, but already, okay, so I think the ink, this is brand new, so, okay, put a little bit of that. Let's put some more ink on there. Okay, let's take the brush and get rid of the stuff we don't want. Okay, that'll be good enough. Okay, oh, I like it with the second coat. Okay, that turned out good. But to me, that's a lot of work for a little payout. But I thought I thought of it, so I thought, well, we'll try it. And there's the glue dot, but I think it's going to distort it. So this, I'll have to say, is a nay. I'm not a big fan at all. Now, what about the one that we did with the epoxy? I think when I turned on my heat tool, I kind of made it fly away. This one turned out. And can I take it off without messing the... Yeah, I think I can take off the dot. Yeah, without messing the integrity of the dot. So with the epoxy, it works. With the embossing powder, to me, my hands are all gooey now. I'm not so sure that would be one that I'd be like, oh, let me do that again, I think that's one that I'll probably pass and not do. Okay. So adding, I mean, we could do tons of adding different mediums. Like I said, you can add glitter. You can add some flakes. Again, keeping in mind that with the epoxy, you can't add more than 10% of different things into it. So 10% of the total. Okay. And some alcohol ink in pearls. You can add that. You can add some mica. So many, and then it's endless, the possibilities of the different things that you can add in there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to try is with some glue sticks. Now, I bought these on Amazon. I'll glue, like I said, I'll link everything in the description box below, but look at all those pretty colors. So if we could get this to work, that would be awesome too. And again, it took me forever because I was like, you know, I don't want to have big sheets of mixed media mats everywhere. And the only thing with glue is that it makes those strings. That's what I don't like. See? And I think if you could get a glue gun, see, I don't have a really good glue gun, but a glue gun that would like be high temperature. I'm going to do it on here. High temperature, and the glue would get really hot. I think this would be awesome. But I think you need a good high quality glue gun. But look at those. Those aren't bad. The last two, I've had my glue gun on for maybe 15 minutes. So I don't know, maybe, and this says it's a high temp one. Maybe, you know, do so that your glue gun, leave it on for half an hour before. Just don't forget about it. See, this one didn't work out. So it's like anything else. Some will work and some won't. I'm not sure if this twirling thing actually works. Well, that one's not too bad. But these two, all I did was push down and I lifted. Oh, not like that. Okay. And that's the thing. It's the same with the Nuvo drops. Like at first I was like, oh, I don't like the way my dots are going. But the more I did them, the more I got used to it. And the better they turned out. Now these are going to have quite a bit of dimension because they're glue, but I mean, some of them turned out really cute. Okay, so I think the key with this is put it out. Don't lift your gun. Still leave it in that goo and still turn, but not up in the air, because then you get those strings and then you let go. I figured out the glue gun. So I don't get those strings. Okay, well that worked out. And I could definitely still put it on this plastic because I need somewhere to store these, right? I need somewhere where I can, you know, even just put them all in a box and then divide it all by, okay, these are Nuvo drops. These are glue. These are epoxy. So making your own little plastic thingy really worked. Now, like I said, I tried with the Mylar because in case people didn't have a laminator, but I didn't like the Mylar. It was way too flimsy. This with just regular paper, not cardstock, is working out great. Now this, as you can tell, it does have quite a bit of dimension, but the circle is pretty good. So I'm liking that. Okay, so I'll unplug this so you get it. You can use hot glue. Make sure your glue is hot, hot, hot. Maybe a good quality hot glue gun. And let it on, leave it on. And then it's the same thing. Like you'd have to sort of like with the epoxy where I said, once I open it, I want to make sure that I just do a whole bunch. Well, this one too, like you don't want to take out the glue stick every time. So I would just do a whole bunch of one color, then start on with the other. But what I found was yesterday I did a whole bunch of perler beads, and that's exactly how I want to do it. I want to just be there and just do a whole bunch and then be done. I don't want to do a little bit and a little bit. I spent probably 3 or 4 hours making perler beads yesterday, and the day before I spent a whole entire afternoon making some with Nuvo drops, but now they're done. Okay, so the last way, and I'm sure there's plenty of other ways, but we had to call it at some point, and I think this is it. So it's going to be with paper punch and papers. So this is 1/4 of an inch, and this one is 1/8 of an inch. I'm sure we could do a 1/16, but a 1/16 is pretty small. Okay, so you can do it on colored paper. Then take some kind of like a foam mat and a tool that has like balls on the end. And we're just going to dome these so that they're going to look like a enamel dot, right? So we're going to dome these. I'm just going to do a couple. I'm going to do a couple. So whatever you want on the front, it has to be upside down. And then you dome these. And this we're going to need some embossing ink again. And I think, you know, before you start something and you're like, yeah, I don't think this is going to be my thing. This, I'm kind of getting that feeling with this because it's pretty messy, which, you know, a lot of them are, but pretty messy. So I'm just going to put a little bit of ink on here. Then because the paper's already colored, I'm going to use some clear embossing powder because I want to give it some sheen to it. Okay, and that's where my pickup tool is going to come in handy. I'm going to get this out of there. Now I have to flip it. Then I'll take this and I'll stick it to my pickup tool. I'll turn on my heat tool. And then we'll emboss this. There it goes. There it goes. And there you go, an enamel dot. So if you're ever at a crop and you don't have the right enamel dot and you have some clear embossing powder, you definitely could do this and then just do whatever color that you need. I could have stuck my tool on the dot before I put the embossing powder and all this stuff, but I didn't want to get embossing powder on my tool. Now see, my tool is hot now. Much faster. Okay, so now I'm just going to do 2, but you get the gist. If you want a 1/2 inch one, you know, a bigger one, you just dome your paper and it looks like an enamel dot. Okay, I think I have everything here. Like I said, this has been a long going video, so I think I have everything here. Forgive me if I don't, but so we have the Nuvo drop type of way. I mean, there's all different ones. There's the paper bends by Viva Decor, enamel accents by Ranger, Nuvo drops. There's some from Bow Bunny, whole bunch of different ones. And then making my own backing. Again, these are some laminating sheets. And then my preferred way was to put just printer paper in the back, because then they come off a whole lot easier. But I think for the epoxy ones, you could, like, these are not going to go to waste. I have a whole bunch with cardstock in it. They're not going to go to waste because I think I'll use the epoxy on that one. But I'm going to be making a ton of those. I'll sit down and make a whole bunch at once. Then we have the epoxy, and it took me a minute to get the hang of it. But basically, you do it, put it under the UV light. Don't wait, because then the dots spread more and more and more. And play with the amount that you're going to put in. And again, I put them in these little bottles, but because they're not black, make sure you put them somewhere where it's dark, because then if it hits the light, it's going to cure. So next time you go to use it, it's going to be like, oh, that ain't working. So that's UV resin. Then some glossy accent. And again, you can mix with all kinds. I didn't try with distress ink, like re-inkers, but I'm sure that would work too. And one thing I wanted to say, the one where with the epoxy and the glitter, and it was just faint. If you wanted a little bit more color in those, like you see it here, if you wanted a little bit more color in those, because this I just put glitter, put some color, put, you know, some alcohol pearl in yellow with it, and then the glitter, and then it won't be translucent. It'll be really, you know, a little bit more opaque. So that would work really well. And the same thing with glossy accent, you know, add some glitter, add some mica, add some different things. And I like the way these came out. I wouldn't touch them yet because they're not dry. I just did those this afternoon. And then paper. And that was kind of fun because I was thinking, you know, if ever I'm at a crop and I don't have the right, you know, kind of enamel dots, I'm just going to punch out a few of those circles and dome them, add some clear embossing powder, and boom, I have some enamel dots. Glue sticks. One thing I will say, do not put them on these. I had a hard time getting that off. I was able to, but who wants to struggle? So I think glue stick would be one of the ones that I would do on a media mat, because then I did try it on that, and it does come off a whole lot easier. And then your glue dots. Now I put the UV resin directly on the glue dot and then cured it, and it worked okay. I'm not going to say yet which ones are my favorite. I'm going to wait. And then of course you have your perler beads. And those, they come in an array of colors. Now, here's a couple of ways that you can store them. I got these little containers at Michael's. They come like in a tower. I have a lot of my wood veneers in them. And look, I have all different colors in there. And same thing, have an afternoon where you make a ton of those, because you don't want to take everything out and just make a sheet full. No, I think the best way to do that would be to have 2 mixed media mats. I only have the one, and the one that I have is a clay one, and I love it. So I might look at investing in a second one. And then, so while those are in the oven, because it takes a long time to line those up, a little tip to line those up is I put them all on my mat. I just grab a whole bunch like this on my mat, and then I flip them so that they're flat like this, and then I move them on my mat. Now, another thing is these are cut in half, so they make bigger and smaller glue dots. And I would do an entire mat, so an entire thing of just the half-Cs, and then an entire one of the full one, because they don't melt down at the same amount of time, which makes sense because they're half the size. So for my oven, it was 350 degrees, and then for 20 minutes. And they were perfect. Okay, now I think the full one, I left them for 22 minutes and the half-Cs 20 minutes. But look, and look, that's the difference in size. That is the difference in size. You can tell the difference in size, you know, between the half-Cs and the full one. So then you get two different size of enamel dots with the same one. Like that's the same one. I just cut it in half and then I get two different size. And then you can buy the really tiny ones. They're awfully cute, but those are going to be a challenge to line up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because then I'll have 3 sizes. What I liked about the pack that I got, there was some that had 2 colors in them. And look how pretty these turned out. So there's a couple of ways I started saying that you can store those. You know, you can get those, put them all in there, and it's done. Now I had extra little containers for my diamond painting, and then I found some online and I ordered them. They're just not in yet, but it's the same principle as this. And they're kept in a clear container, which I'd rather have than the zippered one that I had for my diamond painting. So it's a clear container, and I can keep them upside down like this so I can see each of the color. So I'm going to be separating them like this in each of little colors. I don't know if 30 is going to be enough, but we'll start with 30 and then we'll go from there. But I just thought I'd show you. These were so fun to do. I don't know. Maybe on a sheet of paper you can, probably white would have been better, but I don't have a white really close. So these turned out so cute. Okay. And then I didn't show you up close the Nuvo drops. And that's because this is my number one, because even though it's a little bit of work and most of the work is getting those ready, but once I have, you know, those ready, then getting those Nuvo drops, and the more that I did, the better I got at it. And I have to say, not every Nuvo drop are the same. Some of them, I don't like how thick they are. Another tip is, if you haven't used them in a while, bring those to your sink, clean it out. Like I have a tool that I stick up in there, and then I take a needle and make it really nice and clean, and then they work much better. But look, the more I did it, and so you're going to have waste, and that's fine. But look at all those enamel dots. Now I can keep them on here. But the reason I wanted the floppy paper is because now I can just bend the paper, and look, it just came off like so easy. So easy. And then I can put it back on. Like I just pushed on it and it's back on there. Oh, maybe not. But I have those little containers. They're a little smaller than these that I'm putting those in. You know, if I don't want to have them on the sheets, and I want to have them in those little containers, I'll link them down below. You can put them in those, and then that's it. You have your enamel dots. Then you can just add a glue dot to each one of them. You know, some probably some mixed media glue. That would work well. But I just want to show you all the different colors I did. I am loving them. So this would be number 1, because I don't have to cook anything. It's just done. Oh, and that's how easy they come off of these now. I went like this morning. I don't know why, just trying, and half of the dots came off. So yeah, they come off really easy, and that's what you want. I mean, they're on. They're not just going to fall off, but I'm not compromising the enamel dot with trying to take them off. And that's what I was doing when I was using the one where I put cardstock as the paper. But look, brown. You know how much I have a hard time keeping brown around? Well, guess what? I have 2 tones of brown right now. I can make them whatever size I want. I don't like big enamel dots, so I'm not going to make big enamel dots. And black. I have a hard time keeping black and, you know, if you will, in stock, because I'm always using them. And that's how many I've done up to now. It's kind of addicting once you start making them. But I think that's it. I think I've kind of talked quite a bit about these glue dots. And I use glue dots on every single layout. So I am going through glue dot or enamel sheets like it's nobody's business. So I think having these different ways of making enamel dots, it's really going to help. Now, which ones am I going to stick with? Definitely going to make the Nuvo drop ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down one day and I'll probably do 10 sheets of 8.5 by 11 printer paper, laminate them all, and just have a whole bunch done. And then I might make some different sizes because, you know, I said with the epoxy, you know, if you wait, they spread. So if you just do one row and you stick it underneath, then it's much better. Like you can tell here, I waited till I was done the whole sheet and it's a mess. I mean, I'll still use them, but a lot of them are a mess. But these are perfect. So practice makes perfect. I love the glossy accent one, so I'll probably do that one again. But number 1, the Nuvo drops or enamel accent, those types, the pre-made ones. Number 2, definitely the Perler beads. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna make a whole bunch, and I'm gonna take the time and divide them by color, because then when I go look, I don't have to go through all of this, you know? I can just, oh, this is what I want, and just have them. And I'm going to put all the different sizes in one. Okay, that's it. That's, you know, how many ways is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, the glue, 5, the paper, 5, 6, the enamel dot, and 7, the Perler beads. So I think that was 7 different ways to make your own enamel dots. And I hope that you can find something in there that you like and enjoy doing. But that's it. I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.